happy guy, people. I've been here a long time, but that's okay. This was a blast, and it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job by the LSU Tigers. When I last left you on my daily show, it was Friday afternoon, and they had not played one game in this series. I did a pregame show on Saturday before LSU and Coastal, and now we know that LSU has won the national title. So let's talk about that for 2 hours, shall we? We're going to talk coming up in 30 minutes at the bottom of this hour. We'll talk to Jacob Rudner from Baseball America. He wrote a great piece about Jay Johnson and just what this means for his legacy and his place in the sport right now. So I'll talk to him about that at 1:30. Michael Cobble's still here in Omaha. He was on the field last night with the team today as they departed for Baton Rouge. He'll join us at 2 o'clock. And then Kramer Robertson, former Tiger All-American, who was actually with us on opening day, is going to jump aboard at 2:30 to chat with us. So I'm a happy dude. Let's get this thing rolling the same way we do every single day. That is with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
And I was trying to compartmentalize everything last night after it went final. And I think what I landed on, and this is what I wrote my column on after the game, I don't think anyone here would suggest that the 2023 title was handed to Jay Johnson in any way at all. And I want to be very clear that that is not anywhere near what I'm telling you. But I will say that, like, Jay Johnson did get here, and when he arrived at LSU, Dylan Cruz was here, and Trey Morgan was here, and Gavis Dugas was here, and Cade Beloso was here, and Ty Floyd was ready to roll, and he was here, and I mean, you had a lot of the key pieces from that team ready to go. Now, Jay absolutely went and got Tommy White, and he went and got Paul Skeens, and he went and got Thatcher Hurd and Riley Cooper, and like he coached that team and deserves all of that credit for that championship. But if I'm a skeptic, I can sit back here and I can go, okay, well, you showed up with the best player in the history of the school and 5 or 6 like really great players from the state of Louisiana. And then you got a unicorn in Skeens that walked off the mound in Omaha and was on the Major League Baseball All-Star starters mound 12 months later. Like, is that really a sustainable way to handle the program? And then you came back the next year and you were 3-12 in SEC play and you got bounced in a regional like you did the first year. And like, okay, that may be the outlier in the first 3 years. And then you watch this team and you realize that Josh Pearson was in the lineup against Florida 2 years ago and was here playing for Paul Maneri. He didn't start Game 1 or Game 2 of the College World Series final. And then you realize that Jared Jones was in that dog pile, but he didn't start in that game 2 years ago against Florida in the College World Series final.
We've got passion, we've got determination.
Like, and if Jay Johnson completely overhauling that roster from 2 years ago, and doing this his own way, and in so doing, cementing himself as the guy for this program right now. And I think we're all very, very well aware when LSU gets the guy in place here, it's very scary for the rest of the country. And baseball is hard to win. You lost to Little Rock 3 weeks ago, and you were on the ropes in the middle innings of that game. It can go quick. So I'm not here proclaiming that Jay Johnson's going to win 4 more of these things. What I'm telling you is it is now beyond a reasonable doubt that you have a guy in charge of this program that knows what he's doing, that knows how to build a roster, that knows how to coach, that knows how to prepare a team for the postseason throughout the course of a season. And when you put that in place at LSU, which is different than every other college baseball program in the country, the machine starts rolling, y'all. And the machine is rolling. Now, you're going to have to fight off next year, and we'll talk about next year tomorrow, but you're going to have to fight off next year where the national champs of the last 4 years have been atrocious. Mississippi State was awful, Ole Miss was awful, LSU flopped out of the gate, and Tennessee lost 6 of their last 7 series this year. So there's a real correlation there that LSU is going to have to shake off. But if there's one guy that I feel pretty good shaking it off, it's Jay Johnson, because he built this coaching staff, he built this roster, he built this team, and he put together a second national championship in 3 years. And every single button he seemed to push throughout the year clicked. And everyone involved in that program deserves a ton of credit for that. you had to find all of your pitching. I wrote this in a column today. Like, LSU had 4 2/3 SEC innings returning to the roster this year. 2/3 of those innings were Cade Anderson's. He was the only one you had that started an SEC game last year. He started 1 against Auburn and gave up 5 earned runs and got 2 outs. Holman's gone, Jump's gone, Herring's gone, Ackenhausen's gone, Hurd's gone. Like, that's all your high leverage innings. You develop Cade Anderson into the best pitcher in college baseball. We'll talk about that in the next segment. You develop Anthony Ianson into what he became. We'll talk about that in the next segment. You develop Chase Shores into what he became, which was awesome when he had to be, when he wasn't in February, really January, February, March, and April. Jay Johnson talked about that yesterday in the press conference. And I would go out there to the scrimmages, and I watched Chase Shores pitch in January. He didn't get a lot of outs. And there's a reason that they put him and all that talent on Sunday instead of Friday, because he didn't prove himself to be the Friday guy. And he got knocked around in SEC play. And I looked up, and we're in April, and Chase Shores' opponent batting average is 300. But they kept working with him, and they put him in the stretch, and they let it loose for 1 inning, for 2 innings, instead of trying to work 6. And now he's throwing 101. And now he's starting to throw strikes. Last night, do you realize that Chase Shores threw 27 pitches? 22 of them were strikes. All we talked about coming up to Omaha was, well, the bullpen better throw strikes. Well, you got into a tight game when Heinzen gave up a homer, and you went to the bullpen, and Chase Shores is a guy who didn't throw strikes in the regional, and it was the biggest stage you could possibly be on, and all he did was throw strikes. In this offense, I don't know if it was full of stars. Cruz and White and Morgan, Dugas and Beloso creeping up at 20 home runs. Jared Jones deserves his spot in LSU lore, no question. We talked about that last week. But Stephen Milam wasn't a star all year. He's a star in Omaha. Daniel Dickinson's solid player, superstar, no. Is he a surefire Major League Baseball player? I don't think so. Chris Stanfield, I don't think he's going to play Major League Baseball. Great college player, knows his role. Luis Hernandez, DH at Indiana State. Jay identifies that guy. He can come catch. He didn't catch at Indiana State. Jay says he can come catch. He caught. And his defense in the fall, not very good. His defense in January, His defense this year, plenty good. Had some big swings of the bat. We'll all remember the line drive he hit against Arkansas. You want to blame Charles Davlon for not catching that? I don't think that's completely wrong, but he hit it hard. But he filled a role. And you heard Jay constantly saying we needed character at that position. He brought it, and he was perfect fit. And you look at Michael Braswell. Like, that's a guy that hit well under 200 this year. But when you needed him in a 1-0 game in the College World Series final, he comes up with 3 great defensive plays. That play he made charging on the bunt was really good in the 8th inning. It was a good bunt. He comes in, and we're talking game 1. He had to throw the ball over the shoulder of the runner. He gets helped by the new base. I tweeted that out in the game because, like, you got a little bit of room there. If you don't have the new base, you're really going to have to make a great throw not to hit the runner on that play. But Braswell makes the throw, and then, of course, you know the play in the 9th where he ranges to his left. He assumed his role and played it beautifully. Josh Pearson and Jake Brown are both guys with enough skins on the wall that they should feel like they should play every day. They didn't. I didn't hear a peep. In fact, those 2 guys are best friends and had smiles on their faces the entire year. It wasn't a collection of superstars. It wasn't LSU's best baseball team ever, especially on offense. And we're going to talk about the pitchers in a second, but on offense. But they swept through Omaha. They're the first team at LSU to sweep through Omaha since 2000. 09 team lost to Texas. 23 team dropped one to Florida. This team stared down Arkansas twice, and beat them. And then Coastal, nobody could beat them. And LSU took their best 2 arms and their best bullpen bullets from the number 2 ERA in the country and got it done. And Jay Johnson is going to be relentless in his approach to keeping this thing going. I've gotten to know Jay pretty well over the years, And he's not making this up when he talks to you through the media saying, like, he's all baseball all the time. Like, this guy does not play golf. He does not go fishing. He's not playing poker. He doesn't need to go to the beach. He doesn't need to see Europe. Like, he likes to go recruit baseball players, develop them, win games. And he's now at the place that is the standard in college baseball. And I'll tell you all this. This morning, over the course of kind of prepping for the show and kind of taking it in the morning after, I listened to some various different podcasts. I listened to Neil McCready and Chase Parham on the Rebel Grove podcast. They talk a lot of Ole Miss, but I figure at this time of the calendar they probably talk College World Series. They did. I popped in on their 5-8 minute conversation, and they're just going, look, they're the standard. They just win. Chase was saying, like, I thought Coastal had a real chance with Morrison on the mound to get that thing to a third game, and then I saw LSU come out in those gold jerseys, and I just like, well, this is over. And while that doesn't really carry any weight, you understand, it's just the perception that LSU's program brings, right? And I was listening to the D1 baseball guys, and from Aaron Fitt to Mike Rooney to Joe Healy, all those guys are going, look, it's inarguable who the standard is in this sport. It's inarguable who the New York Yankees are in this sport. It's inarguable where the top of the sport is, and it's in Baton Rouge. No one even comes close to approaching what this program has done over the course of the last 30 years. And there was a lull there from 09 to 23. You're talking 14 years, and that's weird in our part of the world. And it feels like we're not headed for another one of those for a little bit, right? Now, it's really freaking hard to win these things. It's so hard to win the whole thing. Every time LSU wins a national championship, and I'm on this microphone, which may never happen again, it may happen 7 more times across the sports. But I'm always going to say it is really hard to win the whole thing. And so every time that happens, you've got to take it in, enjoy it, and appreciate the accomplishment. Because, yeah, that's 8. It's 8. But all of them are their own unique journey, and they all, I think, send a little bit of a different message. And the one that I think this one sent was, hey, you can point to Skeens all you want and say that you're never going to have a guy that looks like that. And you can say that the best player in the school was there at the same time, and you can say that Paul Maneri recruited half that roster. And there are some things that are true about some of the things about that team. But now when you look at the fact that Jay Johnson got that team where he got it when LSU hadn't done anything like that in a decade, and then you realize that he overhauled the entire roster and did it again, look out. Like, it's a machine in Baton Rouge right now, and they're going to be a force. Now, in this era, the rosters overhaul year to year more so than eras in the past. And that means there could be more volatility. And I'm not telling you that LSU is going to be here every single year. But Jay Johnson used a phrase back at regional time that I think is important to remember. And he said that you want to take as many bites at the Omaha apple as you can take. And that feels like a very, very attainable goal. You play the 56 games plus the SEC tournament. You put yourself in position to play at the box. You play at the box. Very few teams go to the box and beat you. You get here, you put the ball out there, and you go play. And sometimes the wind shifts in 1998, and you don't get it done. And sometimes Jared Poche throws the ball into right field, and you don't quite get it done. And sometimes Jake Slaughter gets called out for runner interference, and you don't quite get it done. But sometimes Kate Anderson throws a complete game shutout in game 1, and you do get it done. And if you keep putting yourself in position, and you've got a team that's capable when you get to the stage, great things are going to happen, especially when you've got a coach like Jay Johnson at the helm. So this one, to me, like, I think that 23 is the standard for me in terms of the talent level, the ability, how good I think that team was. To me, this one is about a statement to college baseball. It's like, hey, LSU is back, and you need to really pay attention to that.